If we could rewind the tape of time to the very instant when a small and discreet lineage began its unlikely rise, what would we see? Behind the noise of the giants of the past, there was a silent story. Creatures with thin fur, sharp eyes, and light steps, prepared for a trial that would change the planet. On this journey, we will travel from the final days of the Cretaceous to the dawn of the Holocene to understand how mammals, nearly invisible in the shadow of dinosaurs, became the heirs of a reinvented world. A saga of resilience, adaptation, and opportunity. At the end of the Cretaceous, Earth was exuberant. Forests of conifers, cycads, and ferns shaped vast landscapes, while the first flowering plants spread, bringing new colors and scents. The skies were traced by pterosaurs, the seas guarded by mosasaurs. On land, non-avian dinosaurs dominated every niche, from carnivores like Tyrannosaurus rex to colossal long-necked herbivores. From armored ankylosaurs to the iconic Triceratops, their success lasted more than 160 million years, a scale that dwarfs all of human history. In the shadows of this spectacle lived the first mammals, small, nocturnal generalists. They hunted insects, competed for seeds, slipped into the cracks of the ecosystem. They had keen senses, the ability to regulate body temperature, and brains proportionally larger than their bodies. Above all, they were adaptable, and that would make all the difference. About 66 million years ago, a rock 10 to 15 kilometers wide tore through the atmosphere and struck what is now the Yucatan Peninsula. The Chicxulub crater turned the key of history. In minutes, a shockwave pulverized everything for hundreds of kilometers. Apocalyptic winds swept forests. An unprecedented earthquake reverberated across the globe. Giant tsunamis invaded continents. Incandescent spheres rained back from the sky, reigniting the planet in a pulse of global heat that set forests and plains ablaze. Soon after, the dust of the impact, the soot from fires and sulfur aerosols blocked the sun. The impact winter set in. Prolonged darkness, sharp temperature drops, collapsed photosynthesis. The base of food chains collapsed on land and at sea. The success of the giants became a burden. In a short geological time, about 75% of species vanished, among them the non-avian dinosaurs. The stage had been cleared. The question was, who would endure the curtain of ashes? The key to survival was not strength, but flexibility. Small animals needed less energy, were more omnivorous, and could switch resources. Burrowers, aquatic and semi-aquatic creatures, found thermal refuge in tunnels and waters. Slow metabolisms, like in some reptiles, endured scarcity. Short life cycles in many invertebrates sped recovery. Among the unlikely winners were the mammals. Endothermy helped them face extreme temperatures. Fur insulated them from the cold. Live birth and nursing protected offspring in hostile environments. sharp senses and behavioral versatility helped them find shelter and food. Crocodiles, turtles, amphibians, and some birds also endured. When the sky cleared, the world was another, and the empty niches demanded new protagonists. With the dust settled, recovery began. The Paleocene, 66 to 56 million years ago, brought regenerating forests, flowering plants in expansion, and open niches. Mammals, once supporting actors, began an adaptive radiation, multiplying in forms, sizes, and diets. Primitive herbivore lineages, condylarths, early carnivores like creodonts, and basal arboreal primates with forward-facing eyes and grasping fingers appeared. First steps in a story that would one day lead to us. Around 56 million years ago, a climatic jolt, the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum, PETM, rapidly warmed the planet. Tropical forests reached high latitudes. New dispersal routes opened. Mammals crossed continents. The Eocene consolidated modern orders, perissodactyls, early horses and rhinos. Artiodactyls, ancestors of pigs, camels, and deer. Carnivores ancestral to feliforms and caniforms. And an extraordinary experiment unfolded. Land mammals returned to the sea, giving rise to cetaceans, from walking whales to complete swimmers, and sirenians. The planet boiled with evolutionary innovations. About 34 million years ago, Earth cooled decisively. The opening of the Antarctic circumpolar current isolated Antarctica and locked ice at the South Pole. Forests retreated in many regions. Grasslands and savannas began to spread. Herbivores evolved high-crowned teeth to deal with abrasive grasses. Running and long-distance vision became advantages in open habitats. Carnivores became more efficient. Selection for speed, strategy, and cooperation intensified. In the Miocene, 23 to 5.3 million years ago, grasses exploded worldwide and vast plains appeared. Horses shifted from small forest dwellers to plain runners with single hooves. Bovids and cervids multiplied. Proboscideans experimented with diverse forms. Predators followed felines and canids specialized. Saber-toothed emerged. Bears and mustelids expanded niches. In the seas, mysticets grew and perfected filter feeding. Odontocetes mastered echolocation. Pinnipeds occupied cold coasts. Among forest canopies and edges, hominoids diversified. Some apes spent more time on the ground, a pressure that later would foreshadow bipedalism. Earth was gaining familiar contours, and modern mammal fauna was taking shape. The Pliocene, 5.3 to 2.6 million years ago, brought more unstable climate with cooling trends and greater aridity. Savannas consolidated, especially in Africa. The rise of the Isthmus of Panama, approximately 3 million years ago, reshaped ocean currents, and triggered the Great American Biotic Interchange. Lineages migrated between the Americas, altering ecosystems. In Africa, open environments favored the fixation of bipedalism in hominins, Australopithecus, and its successors. The Pleistocene, 2.58 million years ago to 11.7 thousand years ago, was the Ice Age. Glacial cycles opened land bridges like Bering and lowered seas. Megafauna dominated cold steppes: mammoths, woolly rhinos, steppe bison, giant sloths. Predators like cave lions and saber-toothed cats reigned. In this setting, the genus Homo flourished. Homo habilis mastered tools. Homo erectus expanded outward. Neanderthalensis adapted to the cold, and Homo sapiens emerged with complex language, art, and technology. The interaction between humans and megafauna was intense, and combined with climate shifts at the end of the Pleistocene, heralded great extinctions. About 11,700 years ago, the ice retreated and the Holocene began. Seas rose, coastlines redrew, forests advanced. Part of the megafauna vanished, by climate, by humans, or both. Soon came agriculture, sedentary life, cities, civilizations. In just a few millennia, Homo sapiens became the planet's main ecological force. The age of mammals, inaugurated by tiny survivors after the impact, culminates in a species capable of retelling history, predicting futures, and choosing paths. We are the fruit of contingency and adaptation, heirs of a lineage that triumphed by flexibility. The question that remains is not only how we arrived here, but what we will do now, because the next chapter of life on Earth, once again, will be written by creatures with restless minds, skillful hands, and unprecedented responsibility.